Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Stack Bitcoin Show, your beginner-friendly guide to saving in Bitcoin. Today is, what's today, Tuesday? Stacko Tuesday. Stacko Tuesday. Yep. Stacko Tuesday today, June 3rd. Crazy. We're ready to talk about Bitcoin, do a little buy, and learn the secret of how you can lower the cost of how you can lower your cost of living. I'm gonna tell you guys a secret today. I'm gonna reveal the secret of how to lower your cost of living. Shout out to KSU60 over on TikTok. Welcome to the show. Do me a favor, guys, as you come in, hit that like button and tap the screen for some hearts to pop up to help with the YouTube algorithm. If you're new to the show here and you're curious about learning about Bitcoin, welcome. Of course, if you're new to the show and you have any questions, put them in the comments. You can put it in the comments on YouTube, or you can put it in the comments on TikTok, and I will see those and answer your questions to the best of my ability. I won't BS you. I'll tell you the truth that I know, and if I don't understand the question, I will not make it up. I will look it up and maybe come back tomorrow with a good answer for you. Okay? Meanwhile, if you're new here to the show, even if you're existing show, when was the first time you heard about Bitcoin? So let's go with that question. Let me know in the comments. How did you first hear about Bitcoin? Put that in the comments while I get the show kicked off and started with our first segment. Our first segment of the show is, of course, the Bitcoin strength. The Bitcoin strength today is, or the price of Bitcoin today is $105,804.72. It's fluctuating a little bit, right? But at that price, you can buy 945 Satoshis for a single dollar. What is a Satoshi, you might be asking yourself? A Satoshi is a fraction of a Bitcoin. Just like a dollar is made up of 100 cents, 100 pennies, a Bitcoin is made up of 100 million Satoshis, fractions of a Bitcoin, okay? A dollar's got dollar's got 2 zeros after the decimal point. A Bitcoin's got 8 zeros after the decimal point. So that's how divisible it is. It's a lot more divisible than the penny or than the dollar, right? Okay. Why is that important to point that out? Because when you look at the price of Bitcoin at $105,000, you might be telling yourself, damn, that's expensive. I'm priced out. I'll never be able to afford it. But don't be afraid. Just like you can buy a fraction of a dollar by holding a penny, right? You can buy a fraction of a Bitcoin by holding a Satoshi, okay? And right now, like I said earlier, you can get 945 Satoshis for a single dollar. Or if you're walking down the street, minding your own business, you look down, you see a penny, you pick it up, and all the day that penny can buy you right now 9 Satoshis, 9 fractions of a Bitcoin for 1 penny. What a deal. When we first started this show back on May 22nd, 2023, we were getting 40 Satoshis for a single dollar. Sorry, for a single penny. And for a dollar, we're getting 4,000 Satoshis. Okay, that's how much the purchasing power of the dollar has gone down. We're able to get 4 times more Satoshis, 4 times more Bitcoin for the dollar than we would before. Okay, it's wild. It's wild. So that is the Bitcoin strength. Short and sweet, clear and to the point. That is how the price of Bitcoin is doing today. Pretty wild, right? Let me know in the chat. Put your response to my question for now is, how did you first hear about Bitcoin? How did you first hear about Bitcoin? Put that in the comments. I encourage you to answer that question, to do a little, to have a little bit more chat going on, and we can have a good conversation. I can see where you guys are at. All right. Okay. That is the Bitcoin strength segment. Let's get into the next topic. And the next topic is why we stack. Why do we save in Bitcoin? Keep things short and sweet and to the point. Welcome everybody to the show. ACL, welcome back from ACL recovery. Welcome back to the show. Okay. Carlos Aramillo in the house. What up? Round of applause from the live studio audience for Carlos over on YouTube. Why do we save in Bitcoin? Because saving in Bitcoin is the way to beat inflation. When you save in dollars, you leave the purchasing power of your hard work exposed to inflation and monetary debasement. And the longer you hold the dollar, the less it's able to purchase and the value of your hard-earned work gets debased by inflation. So that's why we save in Bitcoin, to keep things short and sweet. Yeah, but why should we save in Bitcoin and not anything else? Because when you save in Bitcoin, it's like traveling back in time and giving yourself a perpetually increasing retroactive raise for the hours you've already worked for as long as you hold a Bitcoin that represents those hours. And that's it. That's what we save in Bitcoin. Short and sweet and to the point. If you have any questions, put it in the comments. I'm here to help. And that is why we stack. All right. All right, we're back. We're back. Oh, my music just faded out when I crossfaded. There it is. Cool. All right, so that is, guys, as you come in, do me a favor, hit that like button and just type stuff in the comments. I just want a lot of comments today because I'm doing a test to see if that actually helps. So get as many comments up there as you want, as you can. Just type some stuff in there. Get the comments rolling, guys, please. To help with that, I'm gonna give you guys some questions. You guys don't have to answer if you don't want to, but try to answer these questions or make up something funny, right? If you're watching on YouTube, you can do exclamation point Boltar, Boltar, and ask Boltar a question. He's a fortune teller. He'll tell you the truth. Okay? I'm ask Boltar a question right now. Should I buy more Bitcoin? That's what he says. Oops. Bitcoin. Let's see what Boltar says in the chat. Okay. Yeah, perfect. Cool. For those of you watching on the what does it say? It says, my question to Boltar was, should I buy more Bitcoin? And his response was, you may rely on it. So yes, that's a yes. It's a positive. I only take the most crucial, important decisions to Boltar and take his word for it. Okay, let's get going to the next topic. Seems like we're burning through the show so fast today. We're 10 minutes in and we're already halfway done. Well, that's okay. We could do a fast episode. Actually, no. Let's show you guys now the secret to lowering your cost of living. If you're watching on TikTok, you want to watch the spreadsheet that I'm about to show, you can head over to stackbitcoinshow.com. That'll take you to the live stream that we're on right now, and you can actually see the screen that I'll be talking about in a second. Here we go. Let's bring up the screen. We're going over to our BTC goods spreadsheet. It's going to tell us the cost of different goods that I purchased in my day-to-day life, right? Some of these numbers are so for example, everybody buys milk, right? Like I buy milk all the time. And back October 3rd, I started tracking the price of milk. And the price of milk was $6.99. Okay. At the time when I started tracking the price of milk, at the current price of Bitcoin then, $6.99 was about 25,509 Satoshis, fractions of a Bitcoin. Okay. Since then, if I wanted to buy the same gallon of milk today, it still costs me $6.99, right? But in terms of Bitcoin, that gallon of milk only costs me 6,605 Satoshis. So it's gone down by a significant amount. 25,509 divided by 6,605. For the price of milk for the cost of milk that I paid back in October 2023, I can buy 3.8 gallons of milk with the same value when it comes to terms of Bitcoin, right? So for example, you're watching the screen. I see that if I were to set aside $6.99 back on October 3rd, 2023, that little savings will now buy me about almost 4 gallons of milk, okay, for the price of one. So you can say that the price of milk for me, since I save in Bitcoin, and when you look at the prices of things in terms of Bitcoin, the cost of that milk is down for me about 75%, okay? And that savings, that 75% off, saving, that 75% savings applies to anything that you have to pay because your savings are in Bitcoin. So just by holding your savings in Bitcoin, the prices of things are going down in terms of Bitcoin. Okay. So you buy Bitcoin at a certain price. In this case, we bought $6.99 worth of Bitcoin. It was 25,000 Satoshis. Now those 25,000 Satoshis that used to represent 1 gallon of milk represent 3.8 gallons of milk. So we're able to buy milk at 75% off, right? Now in reality, I'm not going through and exchanging my Bitcoin for milk. No, I'm buying it with dollars that I make from my paycheck, right? But the idea is that when it comes time to retire, I'll be able to live off that Bitcoin because I'll have so much more purchasing power than I did before just by holding the Bitcoin, right? Invite to join live as a guest. Oh, I'm not doing invites right now. 100 pills. Sorry about that. But feel free to put a comment in the chat and I will answer your question. So thanks for being here. All right. So same deal. Okay. You look at your mortgage, right? The average mortgage or rent in the United States, based on some quick Googling that we did a couple of weeks, like a month ago, is $2,500. Okay. 2 years ago, January 1st, 2023, if you saved and $2,500, which was the rent, and you set it aside in Bitcoin, you would have gotten yourself about 15.2 million Satoshis. Okay, 0.015 Bitcoin. And so if you did that, then is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? No, it's 0.15 Bitcoin. 0.15 Bitcoin. Okay, is that right? No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I guess 0.15 Bitcoin. You would have gotten yourself 0.15 Bitcoin for $2,500 about January 1st, 2023. That one stack that you saved in 2023 today would cover about 6 months of your mortgage, because now to get $2,500, I'm sorry, $2,500, you would need to sell 0.02 Bitcoin. But since you bought 0.15 Bitcoin, that stack that you paid for 2 years ago is now going to be able to cover about 6 months of your mortgage or about 6 months of your rent. Okay. On top of that, that was just if you did it for 1 month. If you did it for 2 months, the following month, February 1st, 2023, $2,500 would have bought you 0.106 Bitcoin, which is still about 9 months of, about 5 months of rent or mortgage. So between those 2 months, if you just saved $5,000 January and February 2023, today, those two installments of savings, those two, or that one $500 chunk of Bitcoin that you bought, $5,000 chunk of Bitcoin that you bought would cover you for 1 year's worth of rent or 1 year's worth of mortgage. Now, can you imagine what you would do if all of a sudden somebody told you, hey, guess what? For the next year, don't worry about paying rent. Right? What would you do? Would you go crazy and start spending money? Or would you just save that money that you're going to do for rent anyway and save that? And now then 2 years from then, it'll just keep repeating, right? Now, all of a sudden, since you've been saving so hard in Bitcoin, it's going to cover you for your rent and all that stuff. So your life gets easier on the Bitcoin standard, right? Your life gets easier. You pay less and less over time for the things you already use in your day-to-day life and your current lifestyle, because the value of the Bitcoin keeps increasing over time. The purchasing power of the Bitcoin keeps increasing over time, right? So yes, at first it's going to be hard to get started because you're not going to know what's going on and you're going to feel like it doesn't make sense. But then once you see the growth of your savings expand, it motivates you to save even harder, because you can actually watch yourself get wealthier, and it frees you up from having to do extra work, because the money itself, the Bitcoin itself, is set up to appreciate against the dollar, because the dollar keeps inflating, and the Bitcoin is a fixed amount, 21 million. That's it. That's all there will ever be. Okay. All right. So I don't even know what phase of the show we're in, except for just, we're talking about this, the secret to lowering your cost of living. The secret to lowering your cost of living is to save in Bitcoin. And the longer you hold Bitcoin, the more purchasing power that Bitcoin will get. And when things are priced in Bitcoin, the prices of things are constantly going down, because you need less and less Bitcoin to buy those things. If you save in dollar, the price of things is continuously going up, because you need more and more dollars to buy those things. So you need to work harder, get a second job, Uber on the side on top of that, right? And you'll never beat the money printer. But the solution is you save in Bitcoin. The prices of everything will get cheaper, as you can see on the screen. In terms of the mortgage, from January 1st, 2023, if you were saving in Bitcoin the whole time, your mortgage is down 84%. You're paying 84% less Bitcoin than you did when you first started saving 2 years ago, right? Because right now it only takes 0.02367 Bitcoin to make $2,500 for your rent, right? Where back in the day, it would take 0.15 Bitcoin to make $2,500 for the rent, okay? Or for the mortgage, okay? So that is how you lower your cost of living. Super simple, save in Bitcoin and continue, okay? Carlos Aramigo says, first time was on a video explaining what the deep web was. Oh yeah, the first time I heard about Bitcoin. That's true. It's crazy. It sucks that Bitcoin got a bad rap by people associating it with clandestine activities. But I mean, it's matured now. It's reached its full potential, right? It's just money, or it's just a way of exchanging value. So it's good. I think the first time I heard about it was in a negative context too. Like it was probably like in what was it? Probably in old references to like the Silk Road was when I first heard about Bitcoin. And I was like, oh man, I'm not touching that stuff. That's just toxic. But here I am talking about Bitcoin all the time, and understand now that I understand what it actually is and what it means. It's pretty wild. All right, the next question. If you're curious, you want to answer some questions here on the show. What's the biggest question you have about getting started with Bitcoin? If you're new to Bitcoin and you have questions, what's the biggest question you have about getting started with Bitcoin? I'm here live on TikTok, live on YouTube. Ask your questions. I'd love to hear them. All right, here we go. That is the solution to the question. That is the segment that we had to do for the thumbnail not to be a what's called a clickbaity title. Okay, that is the secret to lowering your cost of living, saving in Bitcoin. All right, let's move on to the next segment of the show, and that next segment of the show is called. Is this it? Yeah. The Stack Recap, because we don't only talk about stacking Bitcoin here Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 5 p.m. Eastern. We actually do it every weekday. So here we go. Koji Monster, Hard Huddle. Round of applause from the fellas. To the fellas, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. How many stats can a sat man stack? How many stats can a sat man stack if a sat man could stack sats? Huh? That is the question. Okay. Yes. In 2025, we purchased 0.414289 Bitcoin, and it cost us $3,800. Okay. That amount of Bitcoin today is worth $4,375, and we're only about 6 months into the savings for the year. It's up about 15.14%. What does this actually mean? It means that if we were to go and try to buy the same amount of Bitcoin today, it would cost us 15.14% more of today's weaker money. Okay, so the dollar has lost about 15.14% purchasing power against Bitcoin just in the last 6 months. Okay, in 2024, we saved $7,345.47 and accumulated 0.1224 Bitcoin. If we were to go and try to buy the same amount of Bitcoin today, it would cost us $12,929 In other words, it would cost us 76.02% more of today's weaker dollar. So since last year, the dollar has lost about 75% of its purchasing power against Bitcoin. Okay. Now, let's go all the way to the back, all the way to the beginning of this show. May 22nd, 2023. We've accumulated 0.27096,593 Bitcoin on our show during live stacking events. Daily stacking events, I mean. And, hey Star, what's up? Welcome to the show. And so it cost us $14,609 to get that 0.27 Bitcoin. And if we were to go and try to buy the same amount of Bitcoin today, it would cost us $28,588. In other words, it would cost us 95% more of today's weaker dollars to buy the same amount of Bitcoin. Okay? If you're holding dollars the whole time, if you've been holding dollars in savings for the past 2 years, you've actually lost about 95% of your purchasing power in terms of Bitcoin. So it's kind of sad. Right? All right. So that said, today, the price of Bitcoin is $105,506, and our average buy price for 2025 is $94,000. Obviously, the price of Bitcoin is above that. So we're going to buy a $20 stack today for the show. And now that we know how much Bitcoin we're going to buy, there's only one thing left to do. Oops, it's not a gong. It's time to stack some Bitcoin. Let's go. Now it's gong time. Now it's gong time. Okay, here we go. I'm pulling up the Strike app. If you want to start saving in Bitcoin with me here on the show, I recommend you use the Strike app. Go to stackagainstthemachine.com. Will take you to my Strike invite code. And if you sign up to that, you and I will both get $500 off of our next. No fees off of our next $500 worth of Bitcoin buys on Strike if you sign up. So I get the Strike up. I'm gonna hit buy. Boom. I'm gonna key in $20. Lower that a little bit. It's a little too loud. I'm gonna key in $20. Hit next. And now that we're ready to hit confirm, cut the music, hit the drum roll, and confirm buying $20 worth of Bitcoin right now on the Stack Bitcoin show. Just like that. Just like that. We've accumulated an additional, how much? An additional 18,746 Satoshis have been added to the stack. Gee. All right. Let's put that data into the spreadsheet for today's buy. Right here. Down to the bottom. Go here at, today is June 3rd, 25. The price of Bitcoin we deserve today is $105,729.22 Bitcoin. We bought $20 worth, and that gave us 0.0001874 Bitcoin, and that brings us to a total of 18,746 Satoshis for today. And now we take this information and we put it into the spreadsheet for the whole show, and we track every single buy here on the show. Every single line on this spreadsheet represents an episode of the show, and we're documenting step by step getting to one whole Bitcoin during all these live streams, dollar cost averaging. What's up, Colby? Welcome to the show. Hope all is good. If you have any questions, put it in the comments. I'm happy to answer any of your Bitcoin questions. How did you hear about Bitcoin? If you have any questions about Bitcoin, what questions do you have? Let me know. I'm happy to help. Okay, that brings our total for the show to 0.3744792 Bitcoin, and about $39,510 worth of value that we set aside here on the show on our way to 1 Bitcoin. 0.37 Bitcoin, we're on our way to 0.4 Bitcoin. And man, I just hope we can get to 1 Bitcoin before we we get priced out. I don't know. Do me a favor if you're watching live on YouTube, hit me with a like, please. Hit the like, tap some hearts on the screen, do something to trigger the algorithm to share the show. I appreciate it very much. If you're watching on TikTok, shout out, round of applause for Colby. Round of applause from the live studio audience for Colby, chilling on TikTok. If you have any questions, do let me know. I'm happy to help. And let's keep the show rolling. Let's jump into the Q&A segment of the show. If you have any questions, if you don't have any questions, I have questions for you this time. Okay, because we need to get the chat rate up. We need to get the interactions going. So questions for you that I have, and we're gonna just run through these questions, and I'll answer I'll answer my own questions just to keep things going. Okay. All right. How did you first hear about Bitcoin, my friends? How did you first hear about Bitcoin? The first time I heard about Bitcoin, Carlos already answered this one. I heard about Bitcoin the first time was, I think, through probably some news report about the Silk Road getting in trouble and then closing them down and taking a bunch of Bitcoin, that they were using Bitcoin to buy stuff that was questionable. That was the first time I heard about Bitcoin. It was scary, and I wanted nothing to do with it. I was like, man, that's so scary. I don't want to. That stuck with me forever too. It stuck with me forever. I thought Bitcoin was criminal money. That's stuff that drug dealers deal with, and I wanted nothing to do with it. So it's kind of ironic that I'm here talking about Bitcoin and trying to undo the damage of that FUD, of that fear, uncertainty, and doubt getting spread by the very companies that are now stacking Bitcoin hand over fist for ETFs, right? It's wild. Esosa and Isosa, welcome to the show. Hope all is well. Chilling over on TikTok. All right. Next question. If you guys, let's see, the Kaiser report. That's awesome. It's wild, right? Okay. What motivated you to learn more about Bitcoin today? What motivated you to learn more about Bitcoin? I wish I'd taken Max more seriously. Yeah. But that's the thing, right? Max Kaiser, he's so extreme. Not extreme. He's so wild in a way. It's hard to take him seriously at first because you're this guy's crazy. This guy's nuts. It's entertaining, which is awesome. But then also you don't take him seriously because you think he's crazy, right? But then you're dang it, I should have listened. It's true. All right, let's move on to this question. It says, what motivated you to learn more about Bitcoin? For me, it was I wanted to be a landlord, guys. I wanted to be a rent seeker. I wanted to own apartment complexes. I wanted to own houses and charge people rent to live in my places, right? And live off of rent. But then I realized when after all is said and done, all the work that it takes to do that, you're only netting about 5 or 4% gains on something like that if you're lucky. And the competition is so fierce. Plus you have to commit so much of your time to managing that stuff, right? Or pay someone to do it, and if you do that, it cuts into your profits. So then it's not worth it. So then I after exhausting all other avenues, I was well, this is not worth the effort, right? The only thing I found that was worth the effort was Bitcoin, right? And yeah, I had my poop coin phase as well, like everybody, but I quickly came away from that unscathed. So that was good. I didn't get wrecked. I didn't buy some coins that didn't that did well. Sorry, I didn't buy coins that did bad and ended up wrecking me or losing my stack. But I could have gotten wrecked, right? And thankfully, I learned about that before I got wrecked, and just moved all my value into Bitcoin as soon as I understood what it was, right? So yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, he was nuts, but he was right. That's very true. Very true. All right, let's go to the next question. Have you ever bought or owned Bitcoin? If so, what did that experience? How did that experience go? Have you ever bought? I mean, most everybody on the YouTube channel has bought and owns Bitcoin. But if you're on TikTok and you haven't, have you ever owned Bitcoin? Have you ever bought Bitcoin, let me know in the comments. I want to see kind of like what your understanding of Bitcoin is so far. Okay. Also, we'll follow up that question with this question. What's the biggest question you've had about getting started with Bitcoin? So if you're new to Bitcoin and you're like, you heard about it, maybe through this channel, maybe through one of my TikToks or somebody else, and you kind of hear because you're curious about Bitcoin, what's the question you have? What are the questions you have? Like, what's scary about it? I'm here to try to help you understand those questions. So put it in the chat, put it in the comments, and we'll do our best to answer those questions for you. Okay? All right. Oh, here's a good one. Here's a good one. Oh, let me change this because the ending music is about to start. Let's do this one right here. I like this one. Okay, so what is what's your preferred learning method? Like when you're learning about something new, in this case Bitcoin or anything new, do you prefer like videos? Do you prefer like reading articles, or like do you prefer like podcasts, audiobooks, reading like a blog or something about it, or getting an actual book and reading the physical book? When you're learning something new, what's your preferred way of learning? What's your preferred way of learning? I prefer, I think, audiobooks. No, I prefer videos. And followed closely by maybe audiobooks. Audiobooks when I'm driving because I can't look at the screen, but videos when I'm not driving because it's like more information. You get more information, right? I think watching a video or listening to audio at like 1.5 speed, right? As long as you can tell what they're saying and you can understand the information that's getting relayed, like listening to an audiobook at 1.5 speed is like the closest thing to getting jacked into the matrix and having that knowledge uploaded to your brain, right? Because you just listen and that knowledge is coming to you, getting full of information, right? So I think audiobooks and video for me. What's your preferred learning method? What's up, Natalie Steak? Welcome to the stream. That's interesting. I don't know if people are asking to join or if it's just suggesting that I invite people to join. It's interesting. Interesting. All right. I have a couple more questions, then we're going to wrap this show up. Let's see. Yes, this is the last one. Okay, last question of the day. Before we wrap this show up, what's one thing that still confuses you about Bitcoin? So let me have it. Is it UTXOs? Is it cold storage versus warm storage? Is it multi-sig? Is it how mining actually works? Why we need miners? Anything. What part of Bitcoin is the most confusing to you? Hit me with it in the comments. I'd love to sit here and try to answer it. If I can't figure it out, though, we'll just have to schedule that for tomorrow because depends if we get some good questions there, right? All right. Well, you guys are coming up with some questions, some answers. Let's go over the 100-day Bitcoin savings challenge that we're doing over on TikTok. Let's see. Bring that up here on the screen. There it is. Is that it? No. This it? That's it. There it is. 100-day Bitcoin savings challenge over on TikTok. We're buying one line of 100 lines each day for 100 days. No skipping lines, no doubling up. And so far we are day 8. Today will be day 9. So I haven't bought for today, but maybe right now is a good time to buy because it dipped a little bit. Okay. So actually, no, I'm going to buy it. I should buy it right now. Okay. I'm going to buy it right now for the 100 day Bitcoin savings challenge on TikTok. I'm going to buy that stack right now. Okay. I'll just make the video for it later. but I'll put out the video for on TikTok a little bit later today after this live stream. Okay, so it's what line am I gonna buy today? On TikTok, I'm gonna buy line, I think 24. Yeah, I'm gonna buy line 24, guys. Let me put this here. 24. Cross it. Okay, I'm gonna buy line 24 right now for the 100 Bitcoin savings challenge. What is this? 6, 3, 25, 24. $24 worth of Bitcoin right now. Bam. And hit next. And it goes full screen over here too. Browse. There it is. All right. Boom. Buying $24 worth of Bitcoin right now for the 100-day Bitcoin savings challenge over on TikTok. Bam. There it is. We got the little animated hand this time. Okay. Let's update that spreadsheet too. We got a $25 stack. And now that's day 9 of the 100-day Bitcoin savings challenge. And that gets us, let's see, we bought at $105,789.75 Bitcoin. We bought $24 worth. That got us 0.0002248 Bitcoin. And that brings our total to $465 saved saved in Bitcoin. And the value of the savings is at about $456.76. We're down minus 1.77% on that stack. But it's okay. We got 91 days to go and a lot more up potential than down. Okay. So that is 100-day Bitcoin savings challenge on TikTok. If you want to participate in that challenge, go to stackbitcoinshow.com/100day 2025. And that'll get you the spreadsheet. You can start tracking your own buys. You can click on the top right corner that says use template. And you'll be able to start your own journey, start your own 100-day Bitcoin savings challenge, okay? If you're watching on TikTok and you don't know how to buy Bitcoin, look at my pinned posts. I have 3 pinned posts. One pinned post explains to you about the 100-day Bitcoin savings challenge. The other pinned post explains to you how to actually buy Bitcoin and how to use Strike like I did here on the show. And the third pinned post describes to you why you should be saving in Bitcoin, how the money steals from you to keep you poor and working every single day of your life until your dying day and have nothing in the end. Okay, it's called inflation. That's how they steal from you. That's how they keep you poor and working. Okay, all right, that is it. Okay, that's it. Let's wrap this up. I've had enough. Once again, thank you for tuning in. Shout out, round of applause from the live studio audience going out to Carlos Aramillo. Thanks for tuning in. Hard Huddle in the house, and Koji Monster. Thanks for tuning in on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in on TikTok, fellas. Robert, Natalie, KV9, Suze, and Chris. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Hope all is well. I hope you see you guys tomorrow for another episode of the Stack Bitcoin Show. But until then, remember, if you ain't stacking, you're slacking. Bye, guys.